Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Venezia here. I'm the head of the equity trading division at Tradeview Markets. Today is Friday, January 23rd, 2015. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It has been a very active week. Last we were on with the U.S. earnings season in full force, as well as the currency market experienced what you would call Black Thursday with the Swiss franc move. So there's a lot of action out there, and we've seen even more interest in our equity division. That people got a little turned off by what happened in the currencies. So we look forward to everybody joining us, and thank you. Last week I talked about volume and why it tells the story, and this week is a continuation of that same webcast, and this is about resumption. And you cannot have resumption without volume. So if you haven't watched the last webcast, please do so. Go back here, and I'll tell you why these resumption trades are my most high percentage trades. Now, you can't have a resumption without performance in the stock beforehand. You want it to resume its price action, its range, and its volume. I'll give you 4 examples that I found that are very unique that I wanted to show everybody and give an example with. The first one I'm going to give an example of is Receptos Pharmaceuticals. It is a biotech. It was a pretty thinly traded stock, but if you can see here, on October 28th, Receptos had a potential cure for a bowel disease drug or colitis. It was up 40% on the day because of the news. The stock closed around 68. It opened at 90, so it has it opened up $22, $23 and continued to have a big range. As I said in my previous articles, can 4 million be wrong when it normally does a half a million? The stock did close a little bit in the middle of the range, but you can understand that. Basically, what the resumption is, it continued its momentum. Stocks that are hot usually wound up staying stock, especially ones like this. So this is a trader darling. This is a good example of what I call a resumption. The next one I'm going to use is a very, very thick stock. It's a mutual fund favorite. I love to trade it myself. It's very thick. I can trade a lot of shares, and it's Walmart. If you can see, Walmart right here had its earnings date the beginning of December. And at this point, the SPYs or the Indu was at an all-time high. So Walmart, being a Dow stock, reported earnings, had a big gap up, had a good range, as you can see here, closed on the high, the most volume it's had in I don't know how long. By the way, this is a 5-year high. So this is a great example of resumption. The next day after Walmart had a big day, it rested a little bit, had a little bit of range, and then it continued. That's an example of a stock that has range, volume, and price action with a good trend, a thick, good stock, and that's a great resumption trade, a high percentage play. Please get to know those. The third one I'm going to use is GameStop, GameStop.com, and this is what you would consider a momentum stock. It has a lot of big moves. It trends for a month, a week, but we'll look at this specific example being November 21st. GameStop had numbers. Now, the stock went from $40 to $37, a 3-point range, 20 million shares, 5 times its average volume, had very bad fundamental news if you went and disseminated the information. The next day off, after that big day, had a day off. Here you go, it rested, and I waited for it. And here you go on the first, the big volume day, the big bar day, and that's a day that you have to be in this type of trade, win or lose. This is a resumption play. The last and most recent example I'm going to give is Five Below. Five Below is a retailer that in the beginning of January reported poor same-store sales over the holidays. Now you can see it had 10 million shares this day, which was the 9th of January, and it had a great range, 37.80 to 35.15 to 35.10, closed near the low, continued its resumption trade, and it just went on from there. This is a momentum stock as well with bad news and bad fundamentals, and this is another stock that you should be in. So these are great examples of resumption trades, and I'm going to use these examples going more forward. So please get used to these type of charts. So I want everybody to realize that volume is the key indicator here. I don't want to be redundant. It's what I use for. I have all these queries that you're eventually going to find on the Reiner report of stocks breaking high with good range and good volume, so you can pick them out yourself. It's not that, there are thousands and thousands of stocks, and we're going to get to condense that into a small frame. So please get familiar with these resumptions. You have to get used to them. They're high percentage trades, and by the way, this is not the last time I'm going to be saying this. So let me digress. I'd like to thank everybody for signing up for the Tradeview Equity Markets Manual. We're very excited about it. If you haven't signed up for it yet, I want everybody to know that it's written by myself and my team of expert traders. So if you don't consider yourself an expert trader, order the manual. It's our compliments to you. And by the end of reading the manual, you will be an expert trader by watching our videos and doing your homework.